So the first question, no, before the first question, I noted that in the discussions, conferences, or even articles that I have read, no, recently, I would say that the word ESG or any related, whether sustainability, CSR, is no longer a buzzword. No, it's really something that's being discussed not everywhere, but perhaps in other globally, no, or in other countries, pwede nating sabihin na when you talk about ESG, they are at a higher level na. But in the Philippines, I don't know, no. That's what I will be asking you later. Perhaps there are some companies already adopting ESG, implementing and integrating this in their processes, but somehow there still could be some confusion when you talk about what is ESG, what's the difference between sustainability. Is this the same with CSR? So perhaps we can take this opportunity to somehow educate and share to our listeners what is really ESG and what is the purpose, no? Why we need to really embrace this concept or this framework. So perhaps we can start with Dianne.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is often asked to us, no, whenever we get to discuss about ESG and sustainability. But essentially, ESG is your framework, no, as a business for you to embed sustainability to your operations. And that goes beyond the CSR. And then we have heard a lot of acronyms like we have the EHS on the environment, health, and safety. The CSR and EHS, they form part of the ESG as a framework. But sustainability, on the other hand, that's your goal. And you use ESG, no, as a tool for you to operationalize sustainability in your business. What is sustainability again? It's really just using the resources that you have right now to ensure that whatever resources we have right now can still be used by the future generations. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. So you mentioned about framework, about how you really implement, right? So in your experience, no, do you think there's like a specific framework that you normally recommend, no, to your client, especially on, let's say, measuring your accomplishment
Yeah.
yes.
There's a plethora of of ESG frameworks. If you've heard a lot of it, a lot of acronyms. You have the SASB, the TCFD, ISSP, IFRS S1 and S2, and we have the GRI. But for a lot of our clients, and I think my colleagues here would agree as well, that as an entry point, we usually use the Global Reporting Initiative as the entry point again, a framework that we use, because it has the clear guidance kasi when it comes to the E, S, and G pillars. They're very clear on what they want to get from the client, from the entities when we talk about the sustainability reporting or disclosures. So we usually use the GRI.
Yeah, in the Philippines, I think that's the most widely used framework. Okay. So there's another question I would like to ask. Perhaps you can also answer in the rest of the group. Dianne already defined what is ESG for her. Perhaps you can also share with us what, in your perspective, what's ESG? Is this the same? And another question is, why do we really need to embrace ESG, sustainability, and climate, that framework?
Okay, thank you, Neris. Actually, I agree with what Dianne mentioned. No? So, ESG talks about providing the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generation. So, being able to use what you have right now, actually, there's a quote where you mentioned that using less is actually more. No, so you think about our future. No, just using what you have right now, being able to have what you really need, and then think about what can be used by future generations as well. And then maybe to dip down on the ESG term, no? So it talks about ESG, that is environment, social, and governance. So it does talk about all of these matters. When you talk about environment, it talks about the resources that we have. For social, the relationships with different people, for stakeholders and others, and as well as governance. No? And I believe ESG or sustainability is really important because we only have one planet to live on, and we really have to sustain what we have right now and be able to sustain it until the future.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any additional inputs on the definition of what is ESG?
Correct. Now, maybe just to add lang, no, I agree no, with whatever they said. Maybe just to also differentiate ESG from CSR. So CSR, of course, both of them are good, no, are noble. But CSR is more shorter, maybe one-off activities. But ESG or sustainability initiatives are more long-term and adds value to the company. It is embedded in the operations and policies of the company. For instance, for example, addressing the problem of waste. Ocean cleanup is a CSR, is a one-time event. It helps gather waste. But actually, I participated in an ocean cleanup activity of one of the corporations several times already. And every time I go back to the sea, I see a lot of trash. So parang wala siyang impact talaga, because there's really so maybe the ESG initiative there is for companies to reduce their waste at manufacturing stage pa lang, to find ways or design packaging, for example, that are reusable or that are biodegradable, so that they don't contribute to the waste. So that's more long term, and at the same time, it can add value to the company by maybe reducing their cost because of these reusable, recyclable materials. So yeah, that one. In terms of sustainability, I also like to add that as per definition, it's meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generation. So I think we also have to look at it that companies should be able to provide for their own needs. It's not just about looking at the others, but they have the ESG initiatives or sustainability initiatives should create value for them, not erode their value. So that's something that maybe we have to emphasize as well. And ESG and sustainability is very important because the world has evolved and it has really drastically changed, diba? So the risks are not just no longer financial risk, credit risk, market risk. There are a lot of risks out there that impact the business, climate risk, of course, social risk. So it's important for companies to understand these different risks so that they are able to mitigate them, face the challenges, and also find opportunities to create value for themselves.
Yes. Thank you. I think there are two words that already being discussed or mentioned, today and tomorrow. Something that we really need.
It's really
to
the present and the future.
Yeah. So how about you, Lucky? Can you add something?
I love what Dianne mentioned, that ESG, it's a framework, right? And sustainability is the goal, right? So a lot of times client tend to think that they are synonymous, but they are not, right? And to emphasize, gone are the days when investors and regulators and other stakeholders would look into the financial performance lang ng isang company to decide whether to invest or not to invest na. We are in an era right now that the investors would also be interested in looking into the non-financial performance. That's where ESG come in, right? That's why there are ESG raters, and somehow the financial sector or the investors are trying to emphasize and to morph the definition of ESG as another framework to check whether the company are worth it to be invested in. And I would like also to add on the question later kung ano yung ginagamit ng companies, right? I guess makaka-relate tayo na matagal yan sa sustainability that way back 2020 or 2019 when the SEC released the memorandum, right? And the common question of the companies are, anong gagamitin nating framework or standards, right? And we have that term na ginagamit, and we call that alphabet soup, right?
Yes, alphabet soup.
Kasi hindi natin alam kung anong gagamitin. It's a term for a collective term for SASB, QCFD, and GRI. But to answer your question, kung anong madalas gamitin, the widely used is GRI, for the setting of baseline, right?
For the Philippines.
But in the Philippines. But I think if you look into the IFRS S1 and S2, you'll often read about the the word interoperability.
Yes, and
they use that.
the harmony of
Yeah,
the standards.
correct. And I think even the ISSB also encourage us to use different
Yeah.
standards, right? Because like for example, we have standards that would focus in industry specific, right?
Yes.
And at the same time climate related,
Yeah.
the TCFD. So I guess the answer is it really depends upon the goal of the company,
Yeah.
right? So that's my answer. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
I'd
just-
like to add to that as well that yeah, I agree with what Lucky said, that at the end of the day, it really depends on what the goal is, what the
Right.
strategy is, and what kind of, the information that you want to disclose. Because sometimes the frameworks and the standards that are there, they provide you a perspective through an investor lens or sometimes through an impact lens.
Right.
So it really depends on the
Goal
goal
and strategy.
and objective of the
Okay.
company.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, maybe it also depends on the requirements and demands of their
Yeah.
stakeholders. No,
Correct.
because there are many standards out there, but they are not the same, and they address to different audiences. Now, for example, GRI is actually the most comprehensive
Yeah.
because it caters to a lot of stakeholders. No. But SASB, IFRS, they are more geared towards the needs of the investors. So, and then of course, yung TCFD is more just focused on climate. So maybe, you have to, the company needs to understand what it needs and what their stakeholders demands of them. But siguro I'd also like to add that if you're just starting, maybe of course, GRI is best because parang you tick a lot of boxes
Yeah.
already. But at
Correct.
the same time, I think you also may want to consider SDGs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations, because this is really actually one of the drivers of sustainability. Your progress is not just about alleviating poverty.
Yeah.
So UN realized that there are a lot of factors that need to be taken into account, no? Like yung hunger, and then of course the environment. And that's why the government also would like to contribute to achieving those goals. So
Yeah.
maybe as a company, if you'd like to help the world become a better place, then maybe you can look at this SDGs and maybe try to see what initiatives that you can implement in the company in order to align with these SDGs and help the country and the world reach these goals.
Actually, Kari, that's the question I am about to ask you. We're talking about measure framework, and perhaps there are a lot of small to medium sized company in the Philippines right now where trying to really embrace the ESG, something like that. So do you have any advice for those small companies that would like to start embracing? Is there like a step, or what should they do first to be able to really take the baby steps towards compliance and embracing that framework or concept?
Yeah, for me, I think the first step is maybe similar to what any company should do. No, the first step is to assess among the different ESG topics, because there's a lot, diba? So under environment, marami, it's a long list, S and G. Which of these does the company create the most impact? No, especially if it's negative. Now, so for example, it's a producer of a product or an item that uses a lot of plastic or create plastic waste, then maybe it should start to think about initiatives on how it could reduce the use of plastic so that it could reduce also its harm to the environment. So it really depends on the company. If it's a professional service, then the focus should be on the social side. So it's really more on that, taking a look at, in terms of its entire value chain, how it impacts the different ESG aspect
Okay,
most.
so you're saying it's about doing a materiality assessment
Correct,
first.
correct. Yeah, that's the
that's
technical term for that.
Whether you do it
Reality
yourself or
assessment.
you get a consultant or something. So
Yeah.
that's the first step for you
Yes.
to move forward.
Yes.
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 Another question, so not part or related on this first topic, but you mentioned about the company should define its goal, objective. I've been observing that there are like sustainability reports being posted on the on their website, the company's website, but seldom that I see a company in the Philippines that would really show as part of their goal sustainability, something like that. No, I don't know. I don't know who are the companies that are really doing it. So saying that it should be part of the goal. So is it? I mean, is it? Do you advise that these companies should really put that as part of their goal and objective?
Yeah, I think I can go first with this because definitely sustainability should be part of your, not just one, it should be your goal, no, but it should be part of your strategy as well. A lot of our clients, when they come in, they talk about, how do we get to bringing sustainability into our business operation. So they have that goal to contribute to sustainability, but how you work on it is really by integrating such into your strategy. Because when you have a lot of initiatives in place, it will be hard for you to measure kasi your progress.
Yeah. Oo nga.
You might have the reports to say about your performance, but at the end of the day, what is really it in your strategy and your sustainability strategy that you want to tell, diba? That you want to contribute to the and have a greater impact to the society.
Yeah. So you need really alignment for that one. So it should start from the top to bottom, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my next question. Any other inputs
Or
from you
maybe I
guys on
would
this
like to
topic?
add on that
Okay.
as well, no, Miss Neri. So, similar with what Lucky mentioned earlier, no, when we talk about strategies and goals of companies, it does not only focus on financial alone. No? So, we
Yeah.
have to talk about non-financial performance as well to ensure that the companies consider its long-term value, as also highlighted by Kate earlier. And maybe just to look into the companies, no? So, for companies, no, it will not be avoided that sustainability should be integrated because companies has an impact to environment and social as well as dependencies on the environment resources as well as to the people. So there are interactions between the company and environment and society that is unavoidable and should be considered as whole.
Should be a synergy.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Love
Okay.
that.
Yes. And sorry, I think just to add, no? Sorry lang, makakalimutan lang.
it's okay.
Diba, it's high time for us to think about the non-financial impacts that our
Yeah.
businesses bring.
Okay.
Kasi yun yung sabi ni Lucky kanina, that gone are the days that we're just talking about the financial
Financials.
impacts in the investor lens. So really, it's time for us to think about what is it us as a company doing now that's impacting our society, and what is it that we can do to mitigate the impacts that
Okay. Any more?
Yeah, and I think when you pursue sustainability, unconsciously, I think you also pursue financial stability, right? I think yun yung nami-miss rin ng some of the companies, right? Na parang akala nila it's the other way around or parang gastos lang yung sustainability. Yeah, but I think sustainability also promotes business continuity, also improving your reputation, right?
Branding, image.
Branding, image, right? And at the same time, your financial stability.
Okay.